Hey, we are back from CMP, where the Camden Parade and Block Party were back after a one-year hiatus.
Lemon's teams brought their A-game, and even though it literally rained on the parade, that did not slow anybody down. Parade and Block Party, they were about sharing and spectacle, and one word that pretty much summed up the weekend:
family.
We had great judges at CMP, including Jason Torchinsky, Neil Losi, and Phil Graydon.
Man, that is a badass judging crew. And with that bunch, of course, we had great penalties. We had the Junkyard AdWord Jumble, where we snipped out lots of the little words that are common in the names of Junkyard, mixed them up. You had to pull 4 and then make a late night advertisement for that junkyard.
Come on down to pick your bull.
Good part and yank. We finished early. Big part and yank. Happy ending.
We got all of our parts as part and an A. A does not stand for asshole, just A.
Hello, my name is Gator, and I run and grab pull.
No.
And pull grab. If you need something for your car,
And pull grab!
Other penalties included the automaker's shame penalty and the Blue Falcon ball flip.
Oh!
And we even made a Gen Zer use a typewriter.
Needless to say, the themes were also great. I mean, God, we had Mad Max, we had the Ninja Turtles, we had Cops and Robbers, we had a whole waddle of penguins.
And we also had Jawas, who were, as Jawas do, constantly scavenging parts and equipment.
Holy Shift was back with their Ghostbusters Subaru Outback. Now, this was not their first race. Their first race was at Road Atlanta. It was, however, their first chance to drive, because at Road Atlanta, they let Randy Post take the first into their car, and he totaled it. So, a new engine and, I don't know, an entirely new front third of the car. They were back. They ran all weekend thanks to not having any professional drivers on their team. They did great, finished the top half, and even made a donation to Lemons of Love.
Team Blue Steel, they had a 98 Mustang, and they dressed it up in a spot-on Zoolander theme. But one of their young drivers apparently was not an ambi-turner.
I'm not an ambi-turner. It's a problem I had since I was a baby. I can't turn left.
He spun out multiple times, racked up 3 black flags, and when the judges asked him, "Hey man, can you drive 20 minutes without spinning out?" he sat there in deep thought, pondering this quandary. After that, they fired the Mustang back up. And the team had done a complete 180.
So, you mean they drove better?
No, I mean they literally spun 180 degrees and got their 4th black flag. As a result of that, they received the Peep Show penalty, which involves eating an entire pack of Peeps. They also donated to Lemons of Love and put on a play using Judge Phil's great Automakers of History masks.
So I have a problem that I can only share with you. The car I invented, the Ford Mustang. We can't get it to stop spinning.
Mock Grass Racing was back with a new theme, Jorts. This was largely inspired by a father's love of his daughter.
Family.
I.e. the kid's favorite piece of internet music right now being Jort Storm.
Jort Storm! Jort Storm's coming tonight! A Jort Storm, it's a category 5!
Jorts was the official team uniform, and the car was also done up in jorts. A little handling tip here: when it rains, your uniform and, more importantly, the car gets really nasty, wet, and heavy. We don't recommend it. They were also paired with the Ford Escort, which had the traffic cone theme. They were so committed to their shtick, they helped us with pit in, pit out. Thanks, guys. That was legitimately useful.
Then we had this rookie team with the Miami Vice theme. It was Car 420, and they were racing Car 420 on 420.
Now, you would think on no basis at all that Miami Vice team might be a little hopeless, but you know, they weren't. They were right next to this team and a CRX, bunch of high school kids, and the high school kids were having problems, and the Miami Vice guys were able to go over there and look at their car and point out to them, you know what you guys need? An alternator belt. You don't have one. Try that. It's going to help a lot. CRX guys, they had a lot of other problems. They had like duct tape holding their windshield wipers together. They kept boiling their brake fluid and somehow decided cutting a hole in the bumper would work. They said it did. The point is, everybody was helping everybody else, and we like to see that. And by the way, that was good enough to get them the Most Improved award, because in their last race, they only did 2 laps. This time, more than 2.
Another team that solved some problems was Optimus Primer. They always bring cars that are in the lemon spirit, including this Volvo 850, which got crashed into on Saturday. They found themselves in need of a new radiator, some energon, and a lot of luck.
All we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.
They fixed that without issues and ran all day on Sunday.
Transform and roll out.
Another returning team was Cheap Thrills. They have an STS. It has a North Star. A week earlier, they were at pit race with the same car. They showed up at CMP. The car ran flawlessly. They had no black flags. They finished 13th overall with a North Star and an SCS. Brilliant performance.
Terminally Confused Racing was there, and they racked up kind of an unusually high number of black flags for them, but we still love them. Why? Because they feed us.
The way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
This team is led by barbecue pit masters Craig and Curtis. They've been developing the next generation of young Lemons racers. And here at CMP, Craig's son raced for the first time. And there was another young team member, came out of pit road, spun immediately in the first corner. And they got their very first Bob Ross penalty.
Low Speed High Drag was back with their Cheagle Challenge, and they talked Phil into putting them into Class C with this incontrovertible argument.
Every DSM product that has ever raced in Lemons has the bet its first race out.
Then they broke on the very first lap, so they were probably right.
The Winded Warriors. They came, they raced, their drive shaft fell out.
Also, but terrible, the Nut Jobs. Now, these guys have a history of actually outperforming much faster machinery, so, we're inclined to cut them some slack. However, they were in the middle of a battle for Class C on Sunday. They were forced to pit with a little mechanical issue, and Judge Phil noticed a guy sliding under the car before the jack stands were there. Now, Judge Phil said, hey, you shouldn't do that. The jack stands really need to be there so you don't get crushed. And instead of just saying, you know what, you're right, we were in a hurry, we're sorry, Phil, they got super sniffy with Phil. So let's review the footage.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
On the subject of not operating within the rules, here you've got Team Duty. Now, we have a very clearly stated 24-gallon limit on fuel cells, and this Firebird had one that was way bigger than that. Now, this is a message to everybody. Read the rules. If you bring a fuel cell that's bigger than 24 gallons, you're failing tech and you're going home. Don't do that.
After all that, how about a little hella sweet? How about the Dodgsons and their Dodge Coronet? This team could have run their reliable Miata, but no, they caught the Mopar bug. Symptoms of which? Lots of mechanical issues and hitting the wall. The only prescription is more power. Get well soon, guys.
Cousins of the Dodgsons were the Dirtsons. They organized a family reunion at CMP.
Family.
They bribed Phil with a whole bunch of vintage cameras, provided us with a special trophy for our 7th place finisher, and made the Saturday night potluck one to remember with the 2024 inaugural Olympic Games.
Did you say Olympic?
You're darn tootin'.
They had pogo sticks, brake rotor discus toss, and a good old-fashioned tire hurling competition. The games culminated in a couple rounds of pie-eating contests.
Couple of last handfuls smashed gracefully into his face hole, really sealed the deal. He cleaned up every last crumb, and there you have it. Rusty with the loose nuts is our 2024 heavyweight pie-eating champion.
And subsequently, our featherweight pie-eating contest featured none other than Chief Perp Jay Lamb himself, who is seeking redemption after the infamous strawberry rhubarb incident of 1979. But once again, he choked harder than toothless Bill Buckner at a hot dog stand.
Now let's move on to the actual race trophies, starting with the Florida Samurais. They won the 7th place trophy for avoiding the indignity of finishing 8th and the pressure of finishing 6th.
And the overall in Class A winner was Team Rednecks. They got into first place early and really led the thing wire to wire. This is a C5 Corvette wearing a dead Ford Maverick skin as a hat. They learned the term hat car from one of our previous wrap-ups, and they leaned into that idea, adding a Dr. Seuss style hat on the car, hats on the team, and an awesome moss-covered three-handled family Redunza pit vehicle.
Class B winner has been trying for 25 races to get something done, and they finally did. Team Super Westerfield Brothers.
And our Class C winner was also our org choice winner. This is Loose Nuts Racing, their 2000 Chevy Camaro. They had a redneck theme, which they've done before, but this time they upped the ante with an outhouse on wheels, and they really entertained everybody by dragging this thing around with their couch tractor.
On the way to the block party, these guys were pulled over by local law enforcement who, I don't know, maybe suspected that their motorized couch and outhouse not street legal. Well, cops actually got a kick out of it. They got a police escort the rest of the way into town. And then, during the parade, the outhouse, great set for wholesome photography.
Now this theme included the whole family.
Family.
With grandma sipping moonshine in her prairie garb, teenage daughter in the bathtub, pregnant mother smoking cigarettes, an inbred baby at the potluck, an uncle wearing an I Heart My Cousin shirt, and a redneck dad doing this. Loose Nuts has won 6 major trophies in 6 races, more than 6 total if you include their class wins, and they've also won over the local children.
So we're giving all the little kids some cigarettes. Would you like some too? Yes, please.
Now, the I Got Screwed trophy went to Duff Beer, and this time they did not get screwed on the truck. They got screwed at the hotel. Not in a good way either. Actually, their truck and transporter system stolen from the front of the Holiday Inn Express, including all of their race gear. Super bummer, dudes. They did not let that stop them. They borrowed gear. They got back on track Sunday, but man, what a drag.
Judge's choice went to Chick Magnets. This is a family team. With the Thunderbird Super Coupe, rocking a chicken coop on the roof, and a superhero cape. They did not pass tech inspection on Friday due to brake line issues, but the Lemons community came together and helped them.
Yeah, despite having all kinds of issues with his own Volvo Amazon, Mike from the Tuna Chuckers went over and helped them get this whole thing sorted out, ably assisted by the team's awfully cute little girls. The kids were really pressed into duty to help with the theme too, which involved little magnetic rubber duckies, which wound up getting sold throughout the paddock, with the proceeds going to Lemons of Love. A great turnaround story.
The car finally passed safety inspection late on Saturday, and it was a truly heartwarming moment. The family proudly watched their car enter the race, and only a few of those rubber duckies ended up on the track and in nearby streams.
On Sunday, Dad, Mom, Grandpa, and Uncle all drove the car, making 3 generations total, and that is what Lemons is all about.
De familia.
Heroic Fix went to Junk Mail Racing, and they came to this race with an official endorsement from the Postmaster General Louis DeJoy. And unlike DeJoy, Junk Mail Racing got all of their issues sorted. On Saturday, they blew up, found themselves in need of a new engine, went to the local junkyard, and among the sea of discarded parts, they spotted their prize, the replacement motor, and a junkyard staff member armed with nothing but grit in a forklift. They had that motor out in a jiffy.
Once they got back to the track, they had the old engine out in 38 minutes.
That must be a world's record.
As is always the way, the new engine came out of an automatic. Their old car was a manual. There's always 1,000 things you have to do to make that work. They worked all night. Sunday morning, car fired right up, and it ran like a train all day. Well done, guys.
The special trophy at this race was called the Magical Thinking Award, and it went to PPR Autoworks and their '89 Prelude. This was another family team.
Family.
And they faced multiple setbacks throughout the weekend, but they were smiling the whole time. They even saw the humor in total transmission failure. So the team sat down with like a spreadsheet of all the possible things they could do. We could rebuild the valve body, we could replace the clutches, we could fix the torque converter. They considered all of that information, and at the end of the day, they arrived at a single fix, which was to replace all of the fluid with Lucas Transmission Fix.
Well, okay.
Miraculously, it worked, and they were awarded the Magical Thinking Trophy.
Halloween meets gasoline was a tough call at this race. There were a lot of teams theming it really hard. Ultimately, it went to Idle Clatter and their bear theme. Specifically, their fully committed Sue Bear You theme. What does that mean? Well, the Bears drove their ice cream truck through the paddock all weekend long, selling ice cream and collecting for lemons of love. They participated in the bear attack penalty, made up on the spot, needless to say. They turned their tent into a disco bear den, and on Saturday at the potluck party, they invited everybody to bear dance.
The index of effluency went to grits, garbage raced in the South. This is an 82 Datsun 200 SX, and that's got nothing to do with the much better and more powerful Datsun 280 ZX. The 200 SX has this Z22 engine that's got a Z logo like a 280Z, but instead of actually having 6 cylinders and horsepower, it's got 4 cylinders and 81.7 dyno confirmed horsepower. Despite that, it's completely stock. It finished 20th overall. That's the top quarter of the field. They raced clean. They didn't with the car. They got the IOE.
Whew, that was a lot. All right, here's Lemons in a nutshell.
If you need your parts for your car, you can come to us, part at new end, and get our specialized technicians remove the parts for you.
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?